Good afternoon interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I'm going to do a cleaning episode today. I was going to do this as an Omake episode because it's going to be a fairly brief one, but I thought this is probably actually fairly useful information, so I'll do it as a proper thing. So this advice will apply to any laptop. People's laptops get filthy, it happens, but a lot of people have surprisingly little knowledge on what to actually do about it. So I'm going to show you how I do it and demonstrate on this one. The basics are quite straightforward. I use glass cleaner and multi-surface polish and a microfiber cleaning cloth. So this combination will work on pretty much any laptop or computer. So I'm going to start off with the screen, for which I'm going to use the glass polish. Now, sorry, the glass cleaner. Glass cleaner, because it's got some vinegar in it, you get a nice streak-free finish, and it gets any grime and grease and all sorts off of the whole thing. Now, a lot of people say don't use abrasives and things like that. The only time this is not acceptable is if you have an anti-glare coating on your screen. Now, actual anti-glare coatings are surprisingly rare. Most of the time it's built into the screen and it's not a surface. The two times I know about it are some more exotic Sony laptops use them, and the early MacBook Air uses an anti-glare coating as well. You can spot it a mile away because you'll have a distinctive purple sheen in the reflection of the screen. So you can't possibly miss it. That's the only thing you cannot use glass cleaner on. Otherwise, I've been doing this for years, never had a problem. So, moving swiftly on. I'm literally going to take a couple of squirts across the screen, and then I'm immediately going to start wiping it off before it can get down into the cracks. So it goes a little something like this. I'm going to use one side of the cloth to wipe, and then once I've gone over the whole screen and gotten into all the edges, I'm going to turn over onto a dry side and wipe it before it dries. And that will give you, if your cloth is clean, pretty much a perfect finish first time, like that. Done. Now, if it's particularly bad, you'll still have little bits in the corner and around the edges. So if that's the case, just get a thin bit of cloth and a fingernail and just go around the edges again, like so, getting your nail into the edges. That's usually enough to finish it off. And then once again, go to a dry part of the cloth and just repeat. If you're getting a lot of smearing, or you're just generally having trouble getting rid of any wipe marks, it's probably because your cloth is too dirty. The other problem can be if you've used too much cleaning fluid and the cloth is too wet, that you'll have difficulty getting a decent finish as well. So if that's the case, leave your cloth out to dry or get a different one. So with that done, I'm going to use this across the rest of the laptop to shift all the dirt and grime. So just so I don't ruin the screen, I'm just going to drape that over there, and literally, once again, just squirt directly onto it. It's perfectly safe to squirt onto the keyboard like this because it's just a mist. We're not exactly pouring the liquid over it. So I've yet to damage anything doing this, so as long as you don't go mad, you'll be absolutely fine. So once again, I'm just going to wipe over all of this with the wet side, and then I'll turn over to the dry side just to finish off. Now, this keyboard is fairly forgiving, but watch out, you don't want your cloth to snag under the keys because it will just pick them off and flick them away, and then they're a pain to refit. So I advise turning your cloth so you have a flat bottom, kind of like that, so there's no edges to snag. And then, as I say, just literally give it a bit of elbow grease. Go to dry side, go over again. And and then I'm going to repeat on the top. Now, if you've got stickers or anything like that, the best way to deal with those, I mean, I've got what looks like the remnants of a sticker. I think I'm just going to fingernail that off. If you actually have stickers you want to remove, the best way to come at that is to use a Stanley blade and scrape under it. And after that, again, use the glass cleaner to soak the sticky mess that remains, and just rub it in and leave it to soak, and periodically wipe it off with a good scrub again. You will have to rinse and repeat many times, but it is effective. Alternatively, you can get some official proper sticky stuff remover, but I'll be a little bit careful with those because you might find they're a bit vicious and they may leave marks behind. The advantage of this is it's not abrasive enough to really damage any of the plastics. So, right, that'll do for that. So I'm going to go to a completely dry part of the cloth now. I find if you mix glass cleaner and polish on your cloth, it will just turn into a sort of smeary mess. So if you've got two cloths, change your cloth at this stage. Right, so now multi-surface polish to finish off with. This will give the laptop a lovely smooth finish, and it will feel like it's brand spanking new. Once again, just going to drape that over the screen, save me redoing that. Alright, so much for that. Now we have a lovely clean laptop. Now, other techniques you can use, if you have tiny gaps that you need to get into, or like for example on typical keyboards, I use, when there's gaps between the keys that you want to get into, I personally use an air compressor just to blast all the dust and grit out from under the keyboard. If you don't have compressed air available, paintbrushes, either that one like this or a thicker one, you can literally just dig these under the keys and just scrub out all the crud. That gets it all out from under there. Another very useful tool is, if I can find my one, there it is. Another very useful tool is just an ordinary toothbrush. With this you can get into all the little gaps around the hinges, like there, and if your laptop has a visible latch, there's usually a hole there. You can get into there, get the crud out from there. Any lines around the edge of the laptop, again, you can dig straight in there, dig out all the crud. If it's sort of all gunged and horrible in there, it's another good technique is to spray a little bit of your glass cleaner onto the toothbrush that you're using, and that will let it scrub out all the mess. So that's very effective as well. As part of a cleaning routine, the other thing I also do is to blast out the cooling system. Now, the vast majority of laptops will have an exhaust vent on the back or side. This one has got sort of one that points in both directions. You want to get compressed air, either from an air duster can or an air compressor, and blow it in through both of these vents. Now, these are exhaust vents, so when you blow air backwards through them, all of the trapped dust in the cooling system should just literally come flying out from all orifices of the laptop. That's very important. That will keep the laptop running cool and quiet, so very good for maintenance, that is. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I do this as standard on every laptop that I work on, and as you can see, with only about 5 minutes of work you can get a much better result. And the whole thing just makes the laptop much more pleasant to use, and it just looks more pleasant as well. So I hope you all find that useful, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks a lot, bye for now.